acting all high and mighty over just the cost of studying in France. Do you enjoy blaming others that much? The amount I gave Nancy was $50,000. It's too significant amount to be dismissed as just. After treating it so carelessly and then defiantly yelling at me, I've had enough of such selfish talk. I'm done with a spiteful MIL like you. Don't you dare come to my daughter's wedding. Fine, gladly. After various arguments, I angrily hung up the phone, carried away by my emotions. Once the living room quieted down, I realized I might have been too impulsive. However, I couldn't let go until I made my eldest son, Adam's wife, Nancy, who lied and used her daughter to deceive me out of money, learn her lesson. I've decided to take some revenge to correct her dishonesty. My name is Kayla. I'm turning 76 this year. I have 2 sons. Since Adam and Nancy have a daughter, Hannah, I couldn't help but adore her. Not wanting to be too interfering, I made sure not to skimp on the gifts for her celebrations. Looking forward to photos sent by Adam for events like first birthday and graduations became a joy. When Hannah was in college, Nancy approached me with a request. Hannah wanted to study in France, but they were struggling to afford it. Poor Hannah, it's heartbreaking she can't go despite her hard work at studying. As much as I'd like to help, I can't just provide such a large sum. Then, I'll cover it. How much do you need? Actually, about $50,000. $50,000. I was taken aback by the amount, but it seemed reasonable for a long-term study in France. Above all, I wanted to fulfill my dear granddaughter's wish. So, I withdrew $50,000 from my savings and handed it to Nancy. Nancy thanked me profusely, and I felt good about it, with no regrets. Trusting Nancy was my first mistake, as I would later come to realize. Eventually, I was told by my son Adam that Hannah's study in France was arranged. Adam mentioned it casually, without expressing any gratitude for the financial support. While I found it odd, I thought it might just be his way, especially since Nancy had shown plenty of gratitude. I received occasional updates from Hannah in France. She was telling me about her new friends and unique experiences, and I was enjoying looking at it. Yet, neither she nor anyone else mentioned the funding. I wondered if expecting gratitude was too much, but couldn't shake off the feeling something was off. I really appreciate your help with the cost for Hannah's study in France. Thank you so much. It's nothing. I've been getting emails from Hannah too. It's great she's enjoying herself. Emails from Hannah? What did she talk about? Just trivial stuff about what she's eating and such. Why do you ask? It was only Nancy who seemed overly thankful every time we met. Perhaps Nancy handled all the arrangements of Hannah's study in France and didn't discuss the financial details with them. I tried to convince myself of that to justify their lack of expressed gratitude. Maybe I was being presumptuous in wanting direct appreciation from them. With that thought, I tried to let go of the lingering dissatisfaction. The truth behind my unease became clear years later when I heard Hannah was graduating and planning her wedding. I learned about Hannah's wedding when I received her invitation. Finding the lovely message card in the post made me as happy as if it were my own celebration. I immediately called Hannah to convey my congratulations and share some lighthearted chat. It was during this conversation that I finally understood the source of my long-standing malaise. Hannah, I received your invitation, congratulations. Thank you, Grandma. Will you come to the wedding? Of course. It was during this casual, expected conversation that we stumbled upon the topic of her college days and her study in France. Hannah shared as many memories as she could recall, including her studies and what it was like at a foreign university. Those sound like wonderful memories. Just hearing about them makes me happy. It was amazing. It would have been perfect if I hadn't had to worry about money. Money? Yes. I had to take out a scholarship for the study in France. It was quite a hassle with all the conditions. I was puzzled by her words. I was certain I had given Nancy $50,000 for Hannah's study expenses in France. As I checked my bank statement, I confirmed this while finding Hannah's story strange. But Hannah insisted that she had arranged her own scholarship for the study abroad, after researching the requirements. There's no mistake. I have all the documents from when I took out the scholarship. It's strange. I had a discussion with Nancy and definitely gave her the money. We puzzled over it on the phone, but it seemed impossible to uncover the truth that way. Hannah said she would check with her mother and hung up. I was worried about what could have happened to such a large sum of money. But the truth that I learned from Nancy's call the next day shocked me. Oh, Nancy. Good timing. There's something I want to ask you. Please don't tell Hannah unnecessary things. Nancy snapped at me without a greeting, clearly very upset. Though I didn't want to suspect her, that the unnecessary things she referred to must have been about the money for study in France. Her tone made me certain she had done something with the $50,000 meant for Hannah. I confronted Nancy, raising my voice just as she had. What unnecessary things are you talking about? I thought I had given the money for Hannah's study in France. I've already thanked you so many times for that. But Hannah said she took out a scholarship. What did you do with the $50,000? As I pressed her for what she used the money for, Nancy's responses became evasive. After persistent questioning, she started making excuses that clearly sounded false. Like using it for Hannah's wedding or that they couldn't afford college tuition. I pushed her further, frustrated. If that was the case, you could have just told me honestly, and I would have helped. What I want to know is why you lied. Why does it matter now? Are you saying you want the money back after all this time? I just want to know why you felt the need to lie and take such a large sum of money. As I pressed on, Nancy raised her voice, trying to deflect the conversation. Her constant lying and evasiveness only fueled my irritation. Yet, as I relentlessly returned to the point, asking only for her reasons, she eventually snapped, yelling back at me. I was furious at her audacity to lie and take such a large sum of money and then act so brazenly. Acting all high and mighty over just the cost of studying in France. Do you enjoy blaming others that much? You're the one at fault here. Don't tell me you used it for yourself? You're so persistent. I'm done with a spiteful MIL like you. Don't come to my daughter's wedding. Fed up with her selfishness, I retorted, gladly, and hung up the phone. In the silence that followed, I wondered if I had been too impulsive. But I couldn't let Nancy get away with lying and using her daughter to scam money. I decided to take some form of revenge to correct her dishonesty. Though it pained me to tell Hannah I wouldn't attend her wedding after initially accepting. However, Nancy's actions were inexcusable, especially since it involved my dear granddaughter. Taking a deep breath, I emailed Hannah. I explaining my wish to give her the congratulatory gift directly due to my distrust of Nancy, and we agreed to meet in person. What? Grandma, you can't come to the wedding? I'm sorry, dear. There are some circumstances this time. But you never come to my celebrations, Grandma. What? I was taken aback by Hannah's words. I had always tried not to be too interfering as a grandmother and had often declined attending celebrations. Instead, I thought I had been supportive in terms of financial assistance. But upon reflection, I realized my concern about being too interfering began when I noticed Nancy's displeased expressions. I had been content with just pictures for Hannah's celebrations, but perhaps I had been unwittingly kept at a distance. The money I had given for those celebrations might not have been used for Hannah after all. This thought made my blood run cold. Listen, Hannah. I did actually give Nancy the money for your study in France. I heard about that from Mom. But she said she didn't receive it. So, I called Nancy to ask about it. I shared the details of my phone conversation with Nancy. How she evaded questions about the $50,000. And how she had lashed out at me. I was worried Hannah might not believe me, considering it was her mother involved. But Hannah lowered her gaze and muttered, I thought so, as if something clicked. Mom sometimes lies blatantly. She gets mad and yells back if I call her out on her obvious lies. Really? So, I believe what you're saying, Grandma. It's unforgivable to deceive someone for money. Hannah took my hand, saying, we should get back at her. I wanted Nancy to reflect on her actions, so Hannah's proposal was a welcome one. Considering Nancy might cause trouble at the wedding, Hannah sadly suggested I shouldn't attend but invited me to the wedding photo shoot instead. Are you sure? Aren't those pictures supposed to be with family? It's okay. I'd rather have photos with you than with Mom, who always lies. I've always felt sad that there are no pictures of you in our albums. A month later, after consulting with her fiancé, Hannah decided to move up the photo shoot to avoid any interference from Nancy. Hannah's bridal attire was even more stunning in person than in photos, and I couldn't help but get carried away with excitement. Seeing us, my son Adam gave a wry smile and apologized, feeling sorry for me. It seemed Adam had also had his doubts about Nancy's behavior, and hearing this story from Hannah confirmed his suspicions. Sorry, Mom. I thought you couldn't attend Hannah's celebrations because Nancy told me you had trouble walking. Is that so? And the money I've given Hannah over the years, that was all right? I think that was okay. I was there when we received it. Then it's fine. Adam mentioned he had other concerns about Nancy and was looking into them. Both Hannah and Adam were growing increasingly distrustful of Nancy's actions, especially given the amount involved in this incident. While I was chatting with the two allies I had gained, Nancy called my cell phone again. She had found out about the photo shoot being moved up and was displeased, calling to scold me. What have you done? What are you talking about? I heard you've already done the wedding photo shoot. Why would you do that without me, her mother? Why would you think I did such a thing? It's obvious. You're just spiteful because you can't attend the wedding. Nancy said triumphantly. I sighed softly before explaining the truth to Nancy. About that the change in the photo shoot schedule was Hannah and Adam's idea. Realizing I had shared the truth with them, Nancy was taken aback and fell silent. But soon she reverted to her defiant tone and started yelling at me again. Hannah and Adam, who had been listening in, grimaced and shook their heads. You must have said something about supposedly giving Hannah the money, right? She wouldn't believe it without proof. No, she believed me, and that's why we could have the photo shoot without you. Why would Hannah trust you over me, her own mother? It's probably because of your actions over time. Or would you like me to put her on the phone instead? When I asked this, Nancy responded with a loud, "Ha!" Hannah, who had been listening with a frown, took the phone from me. Mom? Hannah. How could you not invite me, your own mother, to such an important photo shoot? What were you thinking? Mom, you haven't even apologized to Grandma. Well, you haven't apologized to me either. What about the wedding photos without me, your mother, in them? Unable to bear Nancy's shouting, Adam took the phone from Hannah. They spoke a bit away from us, but it seemed the conversation didn't go well, as Adam hung up and quietly shook his head. I didn't think communication could break down this much. It's okay, Dad. I'm going to get back at Mom. You mentioned that before, but what will you do? I have a good idea. Seeing Hannah's mischievous smile, Adam and I exchanged worried glances. I informed Adam about my decision to skip the wedding and asked him to record it for me. Later, Adam showed me the video, and I was shocked. It featured Hannah reading a letter of thanks directed at her mother. My mother used the money Grandma gave for my study in France to pay off her own debts. As the video captured the murmuring of the crowd, Hannah's voice clearly relayed how the money I had given for her study in France was misused by Nancy. She kept this a secret from me, Hannah, and Adam, and had disregarded me all along. Also, she did not have any respect me for this whole time. On the wedding day itself, I was made to miss the event because of Nancy. Hannah revealed all this in a loud, clear voice in front of the relatives. During the event, there were moments when a figure resembling Nancy was seen causing a commotion and raising her voice in protest. Don't lie. What joy do you find in belittling your mother? It's the truth. We even have proof. This exchange was captured by the camera. Nancy, probably wanting to maintain a good image in front of the relatives, was now shunned and hunched over in her seat, isolated. Adam made sure to record even her uncomfortable moments. I was in shock throughout the video and took a deep breath after finishing it. Hannah really went all out with her revenge. After investigating, it turns out Nancy used her $50,000 to pay off her debts. And not just that. She freely squandered money on trips and shopping. That's terrible. But the amount seems too large for just that, doesn't it? It's just the tip of the iceberg. It seems she has been borrowing money under false pretenses from various places. Adam's words left me speechless. It's not surprising that someone who could so easily lie to her family could do the same to others, but the extent was appalling. Adam decided to file for divorce, citing Nancy's bad habits. With Hannah married and living separately, it was a good opportunity, and she supported Adam's decision. Later, I was informed that the divorce between Adam and Nancy was finalized. Nancy still hasn't given up on Hannah, trying to make contact by claiming parental rights. But Hannah's husband has not allowed it and never will. I wouldn't want my children to meet a grandmother who lies like her, Hannah said, and moved far away to avoid Nancy. She keeps in touch with me via email as usual. Her husband is a good person, and we've become close as families since the incident at the wedding photo shoot. Nancy called me once. The content of the call was, ever since she got married and left the house, I can't get in touch with Hannah at all. Let me see my daughter. Say that everything you said was a lie. Of course, I politely declined and have since cut off contact with Nancy. Interestingly, $50,000 I had given for Hannah was thoroughly scrutinized during the divorce proceedings between Adam and Nancy, and it was returned. Her relatives are also aware of her misdeeds at the wedding, and now, it seems she doesn't have anyone on her side. She is reportedly working tirelessly, day and night, to pay off the alimony. Hannah, let me know first when you have children. I'm looking forward to it. Of course, Grandma. I'll always keep you updated. Hannah remains upbeat, and our relationship has grown even stronger. We're making plans for a family trip to create new memories, making up for the times we couldn't be together during celebrations.